Hey there, I'm Rachel Ehring, and you're listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. Get inspired as we discuss creative resources, trends in piano pedagogy, ways to grow your income and streamline your studio, and new ways to engage your students each week. If you are a teacher who wants to go beyond the method books to create an innovative studio that fosters lifelong music makers, you've come to the right place. Hello, piano teachers. I hope that you are doing well today. Have you ever felt isolated as a piano teacher? Maybe your friends and family don't really understand what you do, or you feel like you don't have anyone to go to with questions about your business or pedagogy. Today's episode is all about building community among piano teachers, and I think you are going to be encouraged by this one. I'm joined by my piano teacher friend, Jackie, and she has some great ideas about how to build community as a piano teacher and find your people. For the past 25 plus years, Jaclyn Mrozek has been passionate about making students lifelong lovers of music, as well as creating a musical community. She strives to provide unparalleled value through private lessons, ensembles, group classes, and a variety of optional events such as recitals and evaluations. Additionally, she is committed to her own continuous education to enhance the offerings of her private studio. Here's my interview with Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your teaching business?
Yes. And thank you, Rachel, for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you. So I'm Jaclyn Mrozek. It's displayed on all my profile stuff as Jaclyn Mrozek, but I go by Jackie, and I am a private and group piano teacher. I have a home studio a little north of Cincinnati, Ohio, and I've been teaching for 26 years.
Great. So we are going to talk today a little bit about creating community among piano teachers. Why do you, Jackie, think it's important for teachers to connect with other teachers?
Well, first of all, I think that being a music teacher, piano teacher, it's really a lonely career. I mean, we're with students all day, right? And we're talking, but we have to be on with every student. You know, you don't want to be that teacher where you're having a bad day and they come in and that's the one time they see you for the whole week. So you have to be on, you're trying to focus on them, what they're doing, and all that good stuff. So it can be exhausting at the end of the day. When it comes down to it, I think it's easy for us you need a place to vent, you need a place to collaborate, you need a place to talk to people. And when you're teaching maybe in your home studio, you know, you have your family. They might not always be so understanding. So I think it's incredibly important, especially important for piano teachers to always be connecting with others.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jackie, that this can be kind of a lonely profession. And it's so good to have people who can support us because they understand what we're going through, right? Because as private teachers, we're doing the teaching, so we need people who can support us pedagogically, but we're also running a small business. And so it's good to have people who also understand those aspects of it as well. And some of us are doing other things outside of our teaching studio as well. And we're going to get into some of what you've been doing outside of teaching as well soon. But one of the reasons I invited you here today, it seems like not every time, but often when I go to your stories or talk to you on Voxer or whatever, you're either coming or going to a piano teacher meeting or lunch with piano teachers or something. It seems like you have a good community of piano teachers. Can you tell us a little bit about the community of teachers that you're involved with?
Yes. So I'm in the Cincinnati area. And I actually belong to two associations. One is really small. It's called the Keyboard Teachers Association. And there's maybe like 10 of us. And we just do like little events together. So we meet about 4 or 5 times throughout the year. And I love them. They're so down to earth. You know, they're not hoity-toity at all. And you can just come as you are, which is what I'm definitely much more drawn to. And then I'm on the board of the Ohio Music Teacher Association. We're in the Southwest District. So I meet with the other board members. And then actually this morning we had a meeting for all the teachers. It was like a round robin. Well, it was meant to be a round robin where we all were going to have different discussion groups, and it ended up being one big group, and it was delightful. It was really great. And we ate food. You always want to eat food.
Yeah.
So we enjoy that. And then I just really love meeting local teachers. So I belong to a lot of homeschool groups. I homeschooled for a long time. And so I'm still in those groups, and I'll see teachers advertise and I'll think to myself, oh my goodness, there are 5 minutes for me. How am I not really good friends with this piano teacher? So I tend to message them a lot. Sometimes they don't answer me, but that's okay. So I'll message them and say, hey, let's get some coffee or something. So I try to fit that in. I mean, life gets busy, but we try. We do the best we can.
Yeah. Tell me a little more about how you find those teachers. You said that you see them advertising online or in the coffee shops or what?
So usually on Facebook. Yeah, I think that I've seen them too in those neighborhood groups.
Like Nextdoor app or whatever.
Yeah, which I don't really get on that too often. But yeah, it's mainly, I do want to say it's the homeschool groups is where I see them. So last year, I advertised for some group lessons in the homeschool group. And then a few days later, I see another teacher advertising the same group. And it's not a huge group. And you're only allowed in, you have to answer the questions. And the admin, she's actually one of my homeschool mom friends. And I know she's very careful of who she lets in. So that really caught my eye. And for a split second, I was like, ooh, that might be awkward that we're both advertising the same thing and we're about 5 minutes away from each other. And I thought, this doesn't have to be awkward. We can. So I messaged her and now we're really good friends. I actually just saw her today. And so she joined the KTA, that really small group that I'm in. And we've actually talked about collaborating for some music camps because she teaches voice too. And so that's just kind of an example. And then another example is for today's meeting, we're really trying to get more people to know about it. There's been a lot of talk that a lot of the teachers around us just don't even know about a lot of the events that we put on. And I'm on the board now. I'm in charge of the communications. And so I've been trying to get the Facebook and the Instagram page going, but I'm noticing that people still don't see it. So I actually just... I don't know how this might sound to other people, but I just went on Google and I just put in piano teachers near me and I found the names and then I hunted them down on Facebook and I just started sending messages and I was like, hey, I'm really close to you. Do you want to come? And I did. I had a couple of new people come today and it was so great to meet them. And they seemed really excited to be there and to connect with other teachers. So that's kind of what I do.
I like that. I think it's called getting scrappy, and I'm all about getting scrappy.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, okay, somehow, some way we got to get everybody to know about this. And if they don't want to come, that's fine. But at least they know that it's there.
Yeah. And have you gotten a decent response when you've reached out, cold calls, I guess, to people?
Yeah. For the most part. And it's kind of funny because some of them, all of them, that I find on there, we're not friends on Facebook. So I think sometimes the messages get missed, which, it is what it is, but they seem really happy about it. It's a lot of fun. Like today we had one, she just moved here from, I want to say Detroit, and she's a flute teacher. And I know that had to take a lot of guts for her to show up. She's brand new. There's this whole group of teachers. Clearly we're very familiar with one another. And she's a new kid in the block. And we're mostly all of us are piano teachers, right? And she's a flute teacher, but she was just as lovely as she could be. And she jumped right on in. So I was thinking, wow, you're brave. Good for you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little about that because, as you know, there are a lot of introverts in the piano world.
Yes.
And it's hard to get out of the house sometimes, to put your big girl pants on and go to a meeting where you don't know what you're walking into. Can you give some encouragement to those of us who don't want to put our big girl panties on?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw this question and I put a lot of thought into this because so I started piano lessons when I was 9. And then by the time I was 14, they had me as a junior teacher. And I remember them telling me that they actually had a meeting about me a few years after I started because I would not talk at all in my piano lessons. I was so painfully shy. And yeah, oh my gosh. And I would get embarrassed. Like if I, would sight read the next piece. I did that Alfred Basic. I was really super jealous of the Bastion kids because they had those cool looking books with the blocks. Remember those? I'd be like, oh, those are so cool. I'm an Alfred Basic. But anyway, I did love the pieces in there. And I would just kind of zoom through on my own. And I would be embarrassed that I knew the pieces. So I would like purposely mess them up when the teacher, and she'd always call me out and she'd be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing that? And I'd be like, I don't want you to know that I just didn't like the attention. I didn't like the attention that it brought to me. And I kind of was always a little shy, even in high school and stuff. Big group settings, I'd be very uncomfortable. But when I got older, I was a single mom for about 7 years and I had to work in an office to support myself and the kids. And I would teach piano after work. But one Christmas, my dad purchased for me, my dad is crazy introvert. He's a preacher, which is really funny because he would love to melt into the wall. So I don't know how he does what he does, but he's super introverted. My brother is crazy introverted. And then my mom is like extrovert of the world. She knows and loves everyone. And I don't know. But anyway, so my dad got us this book and I found it by accident 2 days ago. And I was like, perfect timing. But it's a self-help book. And it was called The Fine Art of Small Talk by Deborah Fine. And I know that there's so many of these out there, but it changed so much for me because it says in there that, okay, the number one fear is public speaking. And I think we all know that. But I didn't know this, but the number 2 fear is starting a conversation with a stranger. So I found that really interesting. And suddenly something clicked where I thought, oh, they're just as afraid to talk to me as I'm afraid to talk to them. And I really, I'm not trying to sound like, I'm trying to sell like this book to people, but it did something where suddenly I realized that everyone else is shy too. They're not always out to judge you, right? And sometimes you just have to be the first one to start the conversation and then you're okay. Yeah. And I'm making it sound a lot easier than it is. It's hard. Like example, the flute teacher that came today, I was watching her and I was just really impressed because you could tell that she really was pushing herself out of her comfort zone. But she's like, you know what? I'm in a new area and I'm going to meet these people. So I would say, yeah, when you have to put on those big girl pants or even pants, period.
Yeah.
Right? Leaving your house, it all starts with a small conversation. We all love music, obviously. If you don't love music, maybe you should question what you're doing, right? And just asking questions and seeing where, others are and go into a setting that is more comfortable. Like maybe a big conference isn't the way to start, maybe just a small group of teachers, or maybe even just messaging someone on Facebook or Instagram and asking to meet up for a cup of coffee. Start small.
So speaking of conferences, I want to share the story of how we met in person, because I had been following you on Instagram for a while, but I didn't really, I followed a lot of piano teachers. I didn't really know one from the other necessarily. And then I was planning to go to the NCKP conference last summer. And so I started like kind of taking note of other people who were saying on Instagram that they were going to the conference and people who I would want to meet there. And you were on my list of people like, oh, she's going to be at the conference. I should try and meet her. So I met you. I don't remember actually the first time we met, maybe in the...
Oh, I do. Yeah, you were at Elizabeth Swift's book with her,
her booth.
Her booth. Thank you. And I was like, that's Rachel, because I had been looking for you the first day.
Okay.
It was the second day that we met. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember very well.
Okay. So we met at Elizabeth Swift's booth. And you were so kind and just so sweet. And then I think it was probably the next day. I don't know. It all kind of runs together in my head. But one of those days, okay, so this is a little vulnerable for me, but I didn't know that many people at the conference. And I'm a shy introvert. And I did not have anyone to go to dinner with. And I was kind of hanging out in the lobby, like, what am I going to do for dinner? I think the night before I had just gotten something and taken it back to my room, which was fine. I don't mind doing that. But I was like, it'd be nice to connect with some teachers and go to dinner. And so I was just kind of hanging out. And then I was like, Jackie was so nice. I bet I could send her a message and see what she's doing for dinner and she wouldn't mind. So I messaged you on Instagram. I was like, hey, do you have dinner plans? And you wrote me right back and were like, I'm going out with this group of teachers from Ohio. You're welcome to come. And so I came with you. I was totally the black sheep with all the Ohio piano teachers, but it was so fun. And it was like one of my fondest memories from the conference.
Oh, that's well. And I remember you did make a connection with one of the gals who was from Oklahoma, and you guys realized how close you knew similar places.
Well, I don't remember. I think maybe we had some cocktails.
We did. Well, you know what I remember about that, which was so funny, is that we had walked across the parking lot to this restaurant and it started pouring down rain. I mean, like storming. And we all wanted to go to that concert. And so we called an Uber and we all I think we were sitting on each other's laps and we literally just drove across the parking lot.
Yeah, there were 6 of us in the Uber driving across the parking lot. I'm sure that driver thought we were insane, but I didn't want to get wet.
The funnest thing. Yeah, we had a blast. That was so much fun. I'm so glad that you messaged me too, because I remember seeing that being like, yay, more people. So
yeah, which just goes to show when you put yourself out there, the other person is probably excited to hear from you. We get all nervous about reaching out, but we don't need to.
We really overthink it, for sure.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about in-person connections. Let's talk a little bit about online community, because you're also active in the online community space. How have you seen piano teachers connecting online, or what has your experience been with that?
I love the online community, especially for teachers with small children. I think it's really hard to get out. I mean, it is what it is. I'm fortunately in a time in my life where I have 2 graduated. They're gone. Well, they're not gone, but they're not in the home. And then I have a very independent 12-year-old. So I'm able to do more. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have the Facebook groups, which I have very mixed feelings about the Facebook groups, and we don't have to get into that, but I think everybody kind of has a story. Let's just put it this way. Not everybody is maybe willing to post on those Facebook groups for very good reasons. I mean, it's very vulnerable and you can get comments that maybe aren't great. You get helpful comments and you don't. And that's fine. It is what it is. That's just the nature of that. I just love the Instagram people, which I remember joining it. I was trying to start an online adult piano program, which was a fantastic program. I just realized that as soon as people started signing up, I kept sending them to other people. And I thought, okay, clearly I don't want to do this. So I stopped it. But that's the only reason why I even got on Facebook or Instagram was I was trying to get adult students. And in turn, I ended up getting all these piano teacher friends instead. And it was one of the best things that could have happened in that situation for me, because I had no idea of the culture on Instagram. And that's how you and I met. I mean, because there's so many teachers on there that host like Amy Elmore, she does those Zoom piano teacher happy hours where they just kind of get on and you're able to connect, I think, a little bit more intimately with the other teachers. And I remember going to them and I was very quiet. I was like, I'm not talking these women. I mean, these teachers, they know so much. They're so smart, and I didn't want to, look silly or anything. And I think there's still a level of that. I mean, because I have so much respect for, I don't know, she would ask a question, example, back in those Zoom. So what they are, I guess I should probably say what her Zoom piano teacher happy hours are, is she just schedules an hour where you can join on Zoom and she has a topic and you just talk for an hour, right?
Yeah, people ask questions and we
Yeah,
share feedback. And
I feel like that's how I got to know you a little bit better, was in that. It's so fun to see the different answers, because she would ask a question and immediately I would think like, oh, I do this, this, and this. And then all of a sudden somebody's talking about, their experience. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, that's a lot better than what I do, and then somebody else says something. And then I'm thinking, oh, wow, people do that. I don't know. You just get such a diverse response from everyone. So I love the online community. I also love the podcasters. I think that actually, so yours, obviously, and Amy's, who brought me into the podcast world is I accidentally found Christina Whitlock's Beyond Measure. And that was a moment for me where I thought, oh, there's other teachers out there like me who are just friendly and just want to be teacher friends. So I would say the social media, obviously, and then the podcasts.
You've kind of taken this online community and turned it into a little part of what you do. So can you tell us about the masterminds that you're creating, or maybe about the one that you are currently doing? I'm not sure where you're at in the process.
Yeah, it's kind of like what's happening here. We're just gonna play it by ear. But I think I realized as I was going, because, I started Instagram because I was trying to start this online adult piano adventure. And then I decided I didn't like that. Then I'm like, oh, I'll do theory. And then I decided I didn't like that. And I realized that Instagram was becoming my happy place because of the teachers on there, because I got to just like message people and talk to them, and then start talking on Boxer. You guys got me hooked on Boxer now. It's like my favorite time of day. So I realized that, I would love to get back to the teacher community, but how do I do that? And I don't consider myself someone who is an expert in a specific area of teaching. And that's not really where my heart is. I feel like teachers are, I don't know. It's just not who I am. What I seem to be able to do is introduce teachers to others and to talk to them. And so I thought, wouldn't it be great if we just facilitated some meetings? Then I just kind of got the idea to do some masterminds. So I started a beta group because I didn't know what I was doing. And I thought, well, let's just kind of play around with this. So in December of 2023, this past December, I just posted, I think on a story, I said, hey, I'm putting together a mastermind. I even have an app for it. I got an app through, it's called Mighty app. You might have heard it. I don't know. So we have our own app, which is really, really cool. And I just said, hey, I've got a beta group. I just need about like 4 or 5 teachers, whoever's interested. And I reached out to some people that I thought might enjoy it. Anyway, we now have a group. It's 5 of us. And like I said, it's a beta group. So it's a mastermind for myself as well, but I'm also facilitating it. So my goal is in the future to just have these masterminds where I'm just a facilitator, and it's for the teachers and it's for them to connect. And it's more like peer coaching, right? So it's also known as, I started as a PAC, which standing for Peer Advisory Council, because a mastermind really is more when you have like a master, with the master who's saying, this is how we do this. And that's not what I'm doing. However, we will have guests who will show up, who will lead it. I don't know. Do you want me to go into maybe how we're structuring the one right now?
Yeah, I would love for you to tell us a little of the format of each session and how you use the app and some of the details.
Okay. So for us, what we do in our current mastermind is there's 5 of us total, and everybody gets 15 minutes where it's just them. And they're supposed to bring what's called a COPI, COPI. So either a challenge or an opportunity they had, a problem, or maybe some inspiration along the way. And it's been really interesting because we have a composer in the group. We have a content creator in the group. We have a gal who's really trying to get her home studio up and running. And then we have another content creator too. She's more creating a course. So it's very diverse, right? As far as what we're all trying to do. But everybody has 15 minutes and they kind of just are like, so this is what's going on. Beforehand too, we have a goal sheet. We have a spreadsheet where they can update their goals and then we can all kind of see a little bit more in depth. So we have an idea of where the other person is at. And sometimes people stay on top of it and sometimes they don't. It's one of those things and that's okay. So they just kind of talk about their stuff for a few minutes and then we all unmute and we have a discussion until the timer goes off and it's the next person. But it's my job to make sure that the person who's talking has gotten their message across and they've gotten what they need to get out of it, if I'm being clear about that. But it's pretty cool. I asked them yesterday, I said, you guys, how long have you been teaching? And I put it all together. And with all 5 of us, we have over 108 years worth of experience. Which is really neat, That's really how the meetings themselves are formatted. And they sound really simple, but it's really neat because after we talk through the week, I will see what they post on Instagram or what they are doing or what they message in the app, which I'll tell you about that in a second too. And so you kind of get to watch them grow and you're cheering them on and it's so exciting. And then also you see when the things don't work out that they were so excited about. So you get to be there for them. So the app is really cool. It really does remind me of a Facebook group. I mean, like a private Facebook group, because I always record the meetings and I post them and I'll put a summary in there too. And then there's a community wall where people will post, like, oh, listen to this or whatever. We can share resources so we can upload files and videos. I mean, all that great stuff. And I did ask them a few months ago, I said, would you guys rather just be on a Facebook group instead of downloading another app, having another app on your phone? And all of them said no, because they said, if it was in a Facebook community group, it could get lost easily. They'd be distracted, that kind of thing. So I think having a dedicated space just for this is just really empowering for all of us. So that's kind of how we do it. And then sometimes too, I will have something planned in case, discussion dies down. And I do see a theme with everyone as far as we talked about boundaries and what season we're in. This last time we talked about group lessons and how to format them, scheduling summer, which is always so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how often do you guys meet?
We meet every other week. So my initial plan was to meet weekly, but they were like, no, that's not realistic for us. And it's worked out, with the balance of having the app, it's worked out really, really well. So we always know that we're meeting and everybody gets really excited about the meetings. They're like, oh yeah, we have a meeting. That's great. But we can still keep in contact throughout because of the app. So it's worked out really nicely.
Nice. And since this is a beta group, are they paying to be part of the mastermind?
This group is not, because this is also a group for myself. Whereas the future ones, I'm going to be more facilitating. Because I am learning that it's a lot of work.
Yeah. And I think when you're focused on facilitating, you're not thinking about your own stuff and getting feedback on your own stuff. You're thinking about everyone else and what they need, I would.
Yeah. And I will say the more successful meetings that we've had have been where I have been more a facilitator rather than a participant.
Gotcha. Yeah,
but there's some weeks where I'm like, I need you.
Yeah. It's nice to have them when you need them, right? Talk a little bit about your future plans for masterminds. It sounds like you're hoping to create some more groups.
Yeah. So I have some ideas for next year because I had hired a coach a few years ago, and she was wonderful. But I think it got bigger than what she had planned on. And I definitely felt like I got lost in the mix. So when it comes to these masterminds, I want them to be big enough for enough diversity and experience, but at the same time, I want everybody to have their moments that they can get what they need, whether they just are venting or they need collaborating or they need support or they just need ideas, that they get what they need out of it. So I really don't. So I've got some ideas on how I can facilitate several smaller masterminds without using too much of my own time. But that's for next year. But over the summer, we are putting together, it is a summer mastermind boot camp. So it's for piano teachers. There will be 6 sessions, and there will be 3 in June and 3 in July. So it's really for the teachers to craft their upcoming school year. So there will be a guest for each one who maybe is more of a veteran in that specific area, whether it be like policies or tuition, all those questions that you see on Facebook of people being like, I really want to raise my tuition. I don't know what to do. Or, nobody reads my emails and, I got it. So this is going to be a place to really get your school year set for the year, revise your policies, whether you're new, or whether you're seasoned, but you want to refresh. Personally, I always feel like I can improve my stuff every year. I'm thinking there's a better way. There's a better way. So we're going to do it all. We're going to do the recitals, the calendar, tuition, policies, systems to make everything nice and smooth. Thinking about the seasons throughout the year when things are really busy and when you get burnout, how can you get prepared for that? So, and then there will be some accountability and goals. So you will have access with the app for the summer session. So if you can't make a session, it's okay. You'll still have the app for not just the recording, but there will be a community on there and, resources, documents, that kind of thing.
That sounds so cool. I'm really excited about this, Jackie. It sounds like a great opportunity for teachers. So for the summer mastermind, is it going to be a similar format? You said there'll be like a veteran teacher, but then will each person have a chance to interact or ask questions or get feedback?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because I was originally thinking that it would be like we'd have the speaker for about 20, 30 minutes or so, and then we'd have an hour to all work, kind of like a power hour. But I do a mastermind is discussion, a peer advisory council. That's what it is. That's what I want it to be. So I kind of think that I want to give people the option. I think it can be a power hour if you want to. Go ahead and mute yourself. And then we can do smaller rooms, depending on how many people want to participate. We can do some breakout rooms for discussions. Because again, I really like the smaller groups. And then what I can do as a facilitator is just kind of bounce through and make sure things are going as they should. And then throughout the week, people can post, like, let's say, example, it's a week about creating your policy, because I think that's always a hot topic with us. People in there can post like, hey, this is what I have. What do you think? So it'll be kind of a safe place to share what you have without feeling like people are going to be like, ew, I don't do that. I just want it to be where people are comfortable to share that kind of stuff. So throughout the week, they can do that. And then hopefully, it is what it is. It's summer. We're busy. We have families. But my goal is for then by the end of that week, you're done with that for the year. You can check it off your list. Yeah.
That's great. Sounds so needed in the teacher community. And I think having a smaller group of people to give some feedback where you're not getting 100 different opinions on your policies, right? You're just getting a couple of eyes on it to make some good suggestions and then move forward with it. I think that's great. I just want to talk real briefly. I've heard of peer-run masterminds, which is kind of what you were talking about, the peer advisory council. Do you have any advice for teachers who maybe want to just meet with some of their fellow teachers, teacher friends, and run their own mastermind?
Yeah. It was interesting when I was starting the beta group, I actually reached out to a couple of teachers, and one, she's like, I think I'm already in a mastermind, but we don't call it a mastermind. And it was really just a group of teachers where they teach the same method, and they just kind of have become really good friends. And so they connect that way. So first, if you are interested in doing it, you should do it, especially new teachers. New teachers, oh my goodness. Can you imagine if we had something like that when we were just starting out as teachers? So define your purpose and goals, are you wanting to be a content creator? Is this something maybe you all are directors of multi-teacher studios and that's kind of where you're wanting more growth? So I would say if you can define your purpose and goals, start there, which is what I did not do. My purpose and goals was let's all have fun and talk. But it's worked out. It's worked out. And then also, participants. Are there people that you connect with that you would like to, or maybe you've seen them on social media? So, you can invite them, and don't let your feelings be hurt if they say no. I had plenty of people say no to me. It was okay. And then you got to create a schedule and you have to stick with it. And the facilitator, that's a really important job, because if you kind of let it go, everybody's going to follow your lead and then it'll just fall apart. So, and set guidelines. This is how we meet. This is what we're doing. So there's boundaries within the group, and, just encourage the collaboration and support, and keep evaluating it and adjusting it as needed. I kind of am in a season of doing that because I definitely did fall off. We still had the mastermind going, but I noticed that I got very quiet through the whole month of April because I was just swamped. And I noticed that everybody else did too. And so now I'm trying to be like, okay, how can I revamp this and revise it? So, but I would say, if you have a group of people and you've been debating it, just do it,
Yeah, try it out.
Yeah. And if you're not sure, just message me on Instagram. I will help you.
Great. In addition to the mastermind series that you're doing this summer, is there anything else that you're looking forward to in the coming months?
It's weird this year living where I live in Cincinnati. I feel like we have all these things happening. We have some conferences. The president of our chapter of MTA, Clinton Pratt, so he's got a conference. And then Nicola Canton's coming to town. She's got a conference. And then we have a GP3 series. It's like a group teacher conference. So for me, I'm kind of just trying to figure out which one I'm doing. Am I doing, or maybe I'm just going to sit by the pool, the whole summer. I don't know. So I guess that doesn't really give me a good idea. I'm trying to just take it easy myself. I just really want to focus on my students. I'm definitely transitioning over to more of a group piano studio. That's a big thing going on in my life that my mastermind has been helping me with, actually. I don't know if I would be doing it if it wasn't for them, in all vulnerable honesty.
Good. Well, it's all about balance, right? You can't just go to piano teacher conferences all summer. You need some pool time too.
Yeah, vitamin D.
Yeah. So you mentioned that teachers can reach out to you on Instagram. Can you share where teachers can find you?
Well, yes. So on Instagram, I'm at Piano Cats. That's with a K, because apparently my last name is annoying to spell sometimes. So I go by Piano Cats Mastermind. That's my handle on Instagram. And then I'll also have a landing page for the Summer Mastermind. I'm going to post it in my website as well. It is my piano studio website, so I'm trying to play around with how I'm going to mix the two, but that's at pianocats.com. Yeah, so those are the best ways to contact me.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for being here and sharing about community and about masterminds. This was so helpful and educational, I think, for all of us.
Good. I'm glad. I hope. Yes. And if anybody needs a piano teacher friend, message me.
Jackie's available.
It'll be fun.
All right. Thank you so much, Jackie, for being here today.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Jackie. In addition to the things that we talked about during the episode, I want to let you know that Top Music has a lot of resources available for building community. If you are a Top Music Pro member, you can join the monthly member meetups. There are live power hours and workshops available throughout the month, as well as community areas inside the membership where you can ask questions and get help and encouragement from the Top Music team and other pro members. You do not need to feel alone as a piano teacher. I encourage you to take one small step this week toward building your teacher network, whether that is reaching out to another teacher in your area or joining in on a conversation in the Top Music Pro member site. That's the end of the show for this week. I want to tell you about next week on the podcast. I'm really excited to welcome Tiffany Pinhorn-Smith. We have an interesting episode about combining piano and yoga, so you will not want to miss next week's episode. I'm Rachel Ehring, and you've been listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. I will talk with you again soon.
How do you keep up to date with all the latest trends and research into music education? How do you connect with other teachers around the world and make sure your teaching stays fresh and relevant for students of all ages and stages, both now and into the future? I created our Top Music Pro membership to be the one-stop shop for music teaching resources, training, support, and community, and I'd love for you to come and join us inside. With over 40 comprehensive training courses, hundreds of teaching demonstrations and lesson plans, free monthly sheet music, discounts, and all the business and pedagogy support you could ever need, Top Music Pro is the community you've been looking for. If you're ready to level up your learning from the podcast and join thousands of other teachers in our global network, head over to topmusicpro.com today.